Dylan felt the excitement and pressure building as the days passed. After building the first charging device for the crystals, the hope in Lyra's eyes grew stronger. The city of Lyria was filled with quiet whispers as more people learned about the humans' efforts to help. Each morning, the crew met with Lyra and the Lyrians to test the new device and study the crystals. Dylan worked long hours, sometimes skipping meals, determined not to waste any time. He kept thinking about the promise he made and how much Lyra believed in him. Every time he saw her watching him with gentle trust, he felt both comforted and scared, afraid he might let her down again. As the group tested another crystal, Captain Olivia joined Dylan. She put a hand on his shoulder and asked, "Are you all right?" "You haven't slept much." He forced a smile. "I'll rest later. Right now, we need to fix this. Lyria depends on us." Olivia nodded but looked worried. "Remember, we are a team. You're not alone." Dylan thanked her. He knew she was right, but he could not stop pushing himself. He returned to the work table where Lyra was helping organize the crystals. She smiled when she saw him. "You look tired, Dylan. Will you rest soon?" He shrugged. "Maybe after we finish this round of tests." Lyra laughed softly, her golden eyes shining. "You say that every day." Together, they studied the device and compared the results with old scrolls from the library. Lyra read aloud stories from her people's past, tales of when the crystals glowed so bright that the night was never dark. Now only a few pools remained, and many crystals were growing dim. The stories made Dylan realize how much hope his promise had given the Lyrians. The next day, a problem arose. One of the devices suddenly stopped working. A group of Lyrians, worried and afraid, brought it to Dylan. The crystal inside was dark, and the machine wouldn't start. Dylan took it apart, his hands shaking, searching for the fault. As he worked, he found a small crack in the crystal. He remembered something Lyra had read from the old scrolls. A broken heart dims the light. Dylan looked at Lyra and asked, "Can a crystal heal?" Lyra nodded slowly. "The legends say a crystal can heal if it is surrounded by hope and trust." Dylan thought for a while. He called the crew and Lyrians together and explained the problem. The crystals need not just energy, but the belief of everyone. "We must show the crystals that we still have hope." Everyone in the city gathered in the great square that night. They stood together, holding hands and sharing their stories and dreams. Lyra stood beside Dylan, her voice steady as she told her people about his promise. She spoke about courage, kindness, and how humans and Lyrians could save each other. Dylan placed the broken crystal in the middle of the crowd. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft light started to glow within it. The more people hoped, the brighter it became. Soon, the crystal shone with a steady, pure light, stronger than before. The city erupted with joy. The Lyrians hugged each other and thanked Dylan and his crew. Lyra smiled at Dylan, tears in her eyes. "You gave us more than technology. You gave us hope again." Dylan finally allowed himself to rest. As he laid down that night, he realized that promises were more than just words. They were feelings that could heal worlds. Over the next few days, Dylan worked with Lyra to teach her people how to use the devices and care for the crystals. The humans and Lyrians shared meals, stories, and laughter. They learned each other's languages and began to trust each other deeply. One morning, Lyra found Dylan at the edge of the city, looking out at the forest of Lyria. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Dylan smiled. "I'm thinking about home and about this place. I feel like I belong here." Lyra took his hand. "You are part of our story now. Your promise changed everything." Dylan squeezed her hand, grateful for her trust and friendship. He realized he never wanted to forget his time on Lyria or the promise that brought them together. The next morning, Dylan woke with a new sense of purpose. The memories from the old video clips stayed in his mind, clearer now than before. He stepped out of his tent into the cool air and found Lyra waiting for him, her smile gentle and welcoming. She seemed to notice the change in his eyes and asked, "Did you remember something?" He nodded, holding up the crystal she gave him. I saw the videos. I remembered that I promised to help you. I promised to come back. Lyra's eyes shined with hope and happiness. I knew you would remember. Thank you, Dylan. The rest of the crew noticed Dylan's new energy. Captain Olivia watched him closely as he explained what he had found in his old files. The crew gathered in a circle around the morning fire, listening to Dylan share what he had remembered. The story made everyone more serious. Now they understood just how much depended on their mission to Lyria. If these crystals are the key to saving the planet, we must learn everything we can about them, Olivia said. Dylan, do you think you can figure out how they work? I'll try, Dylan replied, looking at Lyra for encouragement. I need to study their energy, maybe compare them with Earth technology. I think the answer is somewhere in the old machines. Lyra led Dylan and a small group to one of the oldest machines on Lyria, hidden deep in the forest. The machine was covered in vines and moss. Strange symbols glowed faintly on its metal sides. Dylan walked around it slowly, brushing his hand along the symbols. As he touched one, a panel slid open, revealing a slot that fit the crystal perfectly. I remember this, Dylan said quietly. I tried to make it work last time, but something was missing. He placed the crystal inside the slot. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the machine whirred softly, lights glowing brighter. A gentle pulse of energy filled the air. Lyra stepped back in awe, her eyes wide with hope. It's working, she said. Dylan studied the readouts on his tablet. The crystal is powering the machine, but it's losing energy fast. We need a way to make it last longer. Olivia and the other crew members helped Dylan take apart the machine. They studied the wires, the energy paths, and the symbols. Lyra explained that her people once had a way to charge the crystals, but they lost the knowledge generations ago. Dylan asked, do you have any old books, drawings, or recordings? Lyra nodded. There's a library in our city. I can take you there. That afternoon, Lyra led Dylan and Olivia to the city. The buildings were tall and beautiful, made from stone and crystal. Everywhere they looked, people watched them with curiosity. Lyra explained that humans had visited before, but not for a long time. Some of the older Lyrians remembered Dylan and smiled as he walked by. They entered the library, a quiet place, filled with old scrolls and glowing books. Lyra spoke with the library keeper, an elder with silver hair and blue skin. She handed Dylan a set of scrolls written in the ancient language of Lyria. Dylan worked with Lyra to translate the old words. The scrolls describe how the crystals grew in pools and needed a special light to charge fully. There were also drawings showing machines, pools, and a strange symbol, a spiral with a star in the center. Dylan recognized the symbol from the hidden folder in his files. I've seen this before, he said, pointing to the drawing. Lyra nodded. It's the symbol of hope. It means the power to save our world. Dylan and the crew spent hours studying the scrolls. They discovered instructions to build a charging device using parts from both human technology and Lyria's ancient machines. Excited, Dylan asked Olivia for permission to try building it. Do whatever you need, Olivia said. If this works, it could save everyone. Dylan, Lyra, and some of the Lyrians began gathering parts from old machines and spare equipment from the human ship. They worked late into the night, following the instructions as best they could. Dylan felt both nervous and hopeful. He wanted to keep his promise to Lyra and help her people. During a break, Dylan sat with Lyra on the steps of the library. The night was quiet, the stars shining bright above them. I'm sorry I forgot about you and my promise, Dylan said quietly. Lyra shook her head. It's not your fault. Humans forget things after cry-sleep. What matters is you remembered in the end. He smiled at her, grateful for her kindness. The next morning, Dylan finished building the charging device. It was a strange mix of human wires and alien crystal parts. The crew gathered to watch as Dylan placed a dull crystal inside the device. With a soft hum, the device glowed, and the crystal slowly grew brighter. Everyone cheered as the crystal shone with new energy. "Works!" Lara cried happily. "Now we can save more crystals." "We can help Lyria alive," Olivia praised Dylan and the crew. "We need to make more of these devices and teach the Lyrians how to use them. This could change everything." Dylan nodded. He felt pride and relief, but he knew there was still much work ahead. As the people of Lyria celebrated, he promised himself again that he would not let them down. Dylan woke early, the sound of birds and distant water echoing outside his tent. He sat up slowly, his mind still troubled by dreams that faded as soon as he tried to remember them. Sunlight filtered through the tent fabric, turning everything a soft gold. Lara was already waiting outside, standing beside a tree with her hands folded in front of her. Her golden eyes watched the camp. Always searching for Dylan Dot, he stepped outside and stretched, breathing in the fresh air. Lara smiled as she saw him. "Good morning, Dylan," she said softly. "Did you rest well?" He nodded, though he felt tired inside. "I had strange dreams. They faded when I woke up." Lara looked at him with understanding. "Sometimes memories come back slowly. Give it time." The crew gathered for breakfast. Captain Olivia checked on everyone, making sure the equipment worked and the team was healthy. Dylan ate quietly, watching Lara as she spoke with other crew members. She seemed gentle, polite, and eager to help. But her focus was always on Dylan Dot. When breakfast ended, Olivia called everyone together. "Today we explore the area," she announced. "Lara, will you guide us?" Lara nodded. "I know the safest paths." "I will show you." The group set out, walking through tall grass and under silver-leaf trees. Colorful birds flew overhead, and small creatures ran through the plants. Lara led them carefully, always warning them of hidden dangers. She told them about the plants, which ones were safe, and which ones to avoid. The crew listened and took notes, impressed by her knowledge. Dylan walked beside Lara. "Can you tell me more about our time together before?" he asked quietly. Leira glanced at him, her face warm. "When you first came here, you were alone. Your ship had a problem and landed far from your crew. I found you in the forest. You were hurt, and I helped you heal." He tried to remember, but only felt a weak memory, like a picture seen through fog. "Did we talk much?" he asked. Lara nodded. "Yes, we spoke for many days. You told me about your world, your home, and your dreams. I told you about Lyria and my people. We became friends. Then the trouble started." Dylan looked at her, interested. "What trouble?" "The energy of our planet began to fade. Strange storms started, and many plants and animals became sick. You wanted to help. You studied our crystals, our machines. You worked very hard." Dylan listened closely, hoping for a memory to return. But nothing clear came. "I wish I could remember." Lara touched his arm gently. "You will, when the time is right." As they walked, the group came to a clearing with a large pool of water. The water shone with strange colors, and small floating crystals drifted on its surface. Lara knelt by the water and picked up a crystal, holding it out to Dylan. "These are what keep our planet alive. They hold the energy of Lyria. But now fewer appear each year. The old ones lose their light. If we lose them all, our world will die." Dylan took the crystal, feeling its gentle warmth. He stared at it, searching for any memory. Suddenly, he saw a brief flash in his mind, a memory of him and Lara sitting by a pool, laughing, holding crystals just like this. It faded too quickly, but he gripped the crystal tightly, trying to hold on to the feeling. "I remember this place. I think we sat here before," he said softly. Leira smiled. "Yes, you always liked this pool. You said it felt like home." Olivia and the rest of the crew gathered samples and ran tests. They were curious about the crystals and their power. Olivia looked at Dylan. "Do you think you can figure out how these work?" "I don't know yet," Dylan answered honestly, "but I'll try." They spent the afternoon exploring further. Lara showed them ancient machines built by her people. The machines looked strange, full of pipes and glowing symbols. Dylan inspected them closely, sometimes feeling a faint sense of recognition. Lara explained that Dylan had worked on one of these machines during his last visit, trying to fix it. He had made a promise to return with new knowledge from Earth. The sun started to set. The crew returned to camp, tired but excited by the discoveries. Dylan sat by the fire, the crystal in his hand. Lara joined him, her face thoughtful. "Do you think you'll remember soon?" she asked quietly. "I hope so," Dylan said. "It's strange. I feel like there's something important I'm missing." Lara nodded. "I believe in you. You kept your promise before. You are kind and brave." Dylan looked at her, surprised by the strong trust in her eyes. He wanted to believe it, but the weight of not knowing pressed on him. That night, Dylan sat in his tent, looking through the data he had collected. He wrote notes about the machines, the crystals, and Lyra's stories. As he worked, he found a hidden folder in his old files. The folder was marked with a symbol that looked familiar, but he couldn't remember what it meant. He opened the folder and found recordings short. Video clips from his last visit to Lyria. The first showed him and Lara laughing beside the pool. In the video, Dylan promised to return, holding the same crystal she had given him. His heart beat faster as he watched. He saw himself promise Lara that he would do everything he could to save her world. Lara looked so happy, trusting him completely. Tears came to Dylan's eyes as he realized the truth. He had made a promise, one that meant life or death for an entire world. And somehow, he had forgotten Dot as he drifted to sleep. Dylan felt a strange hope mixed with fear. He would not let Lara down again. He would remember. He would help save Lyria no matter what it took. Dylan slowly opened his eyes. His vision was blurry, and a dull ache filled his head. Blinking rapidly, he tried to clear his thoughts. He realized he was lying inside the cryosleep pod, its lid lifting with a soft hiss. He sat up carefully, feeling weak and confused. Around him, other crew members were also waking, moving slowly as they adjusted to being awake again. He looked around the room, seeing the familiar walls of the exploration ship. The screens flickered, showing data and information about their landing. A gentle hum filled the air as the engine slowed down. Dylan rubbed his eyes, still feeling disoriented. As he stood, he stretched his stiff muscles. The long sleep always made him feel strange, but this time was different. Something felt off, though he couldn't explain what. He walked towards the window and looked outside. Below was a beautiful planet, green and blue, similar to Earth but somehow brighter. Its name appeared on the screen nearby. "Lyria, we've landed safely," Captain Olivia said from behind him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Are you feeling all right, Dylan?" "A bit dizzy," Dylan admitted, "but I'll be fine." "Good?" Olivia nodded, smiling gently. "We'll begin exploring soon. Get yourself ready." Dylan dressed quickly, pulling on his exploration suit and grabbing his tools. As the ship's main doors opened, fresh air rushed in, carrying the scent of flowers and plants. The crew stepped outside, marveling at the lush beauty of Lyria. Tall trees with silver leaves surrounded them, and vibrant flowers bloomed everywhere. Then, from the shadows of the trees, a figure approached. Dylan's heart skipped a beat. She was clearly not human, but incredibly beautiful. Her skin was a soft blue, her eyes large and golden, sparkling with joy. She walked straight to Dylan, stopping right in front of him. "Dylan," she spoke softly, her voice musical and gentle, "you're finally back." Surprised, Dylan looked around, unsure if she was truly addressing him. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" he asked hesitantly. She smiled warmly, her eyes filled with affection. "You promised you'd come back." "I've been waiting so long. You don't remember?" Dylan stared blankly at her, confusion filling his mind. He searched his memories but found nothing. He glanced at Olivia and the others, who were watching carefully, unsure what to make of this sudden encounter. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember making any promise," Dylan finally replied, feeling awkward and embarrassed. The alien woman looked hurt for a brief moment, but quickly recovered, giving him another gentle smile. "It's all right. I'm Lara. I know you'll remember soon." Captain Olivia stepped forward, clearly cautious but polite. "Lara, I'm Captain Olivia. How do you know Dylan?" Lara tilted her head slightly, her golden eyes calm and trusting. "He was here before. He helped me and my people. He promised he would return and help us again." Dylan felt everyone's eyes on him, waiting for an explanation he couldn't give. He shook his head helplessly, feeling frustrated. "I don't remember any of this." Olivia nodded slowly. "Perhaps your memories haven't fully returned after the cryosleep. It happens sometimes. Give it time." Lara stepped closer to Dylan again, looking deeply into his eyes. "I believe in you. You'll remember. Until then, may I stay close to you?" Dylan hesitated, unsure what to say. Olivia glanced at him, then gave a small nod. "You can stay, Lara, as long as there is no trouble." Lyra's smile returned, bright and joyful. "Thank you." The crew started setting up their base camp, unpacking equipment and beginning their research. Dylan felt uneasy but curious about Lara, who followed him everywhere, watching him closely with hopeful eyes. He decided to speak to her again, needing more answers. "Lara, can you tell me more about this promise? What did I say exactly?" He asked carefully. She took a crystal from her robe, glowing softly in her hand. "You gave me this crystal. As a promise, it holds great power. You said you'd help my people survive a disaster. You were brave and kind." Dylan took the crystal, holding it gently. The warmth from it stirred faint, distant memories, like a whisper he couldn't quite hear clearly. "What disaster?" he asked. "My planet is losing energy," Lara explained softly. "Without help, Lyria will die. You promised you'd return." With a solution, Dylan's chest tightened. The weight of her words pressed heavily upon him. He felt helpless, unsure how to respond to a promise he didn't remember making. Yet the look in Lyra's eyes, full of trust and hope, touched him deeply. "I'll try to help," he finally said quietly, the words surprising even himself. Lara smiled with relief, gently taking his hand in hers. "I knew you'd remember." The day wore on as Dylan worked with the crew, setting up communication equipment and preparing tools for exploration. The whole time, Lara stayed close, occasionally telling him about their previous time together. Each story she told sparked vague memories, but nothing clear enough to understand fully. As night fell, the crew gathered around a campfire, sharing a simple meal. Lara sat beside Dylan, her presence comforting yet mysterious. After dinner, Olivia approached them both. "Tomorrow we'll explore deeper into Lyria," she announced. "Lara, you can guide us if you're willing." "Of course," Lara agreed. Instantly, her eyes shining, Olivia glanced at Dylan, concern still evident on her face. "And Dylan, if anything else returns to you, tell us immediately." "I will," Dylan promised, though he felt uncertain. That night, Dylan lay awake in his tent, staring at the glowing crystal Lara had given him. Its soft light comforted him, yet made his mind race with questions. Who was he really, and what had happened during his last visit to Lyria? He closed his eyes, hoping sleep would help clear his thoughts. Instead, vague dreams filled his mind, full of laughter, warmth, and a voice saying softly, "You promise." When morning came, Dylan woke determined. He would uncover his lost memories and find the truth behind his forgotten promise. With Lara at his side, he stepped out into the new day, ready to face whatever awaited him on Lyria. The ship that carried Jake and Zira back to Earth was small but comfortable. As they left the Zanari homeworld behind, Jake looked out the window, watching the planet shrink until it was only a distant dot. He felt proud and relieved. He had passed the trials and won the trust of Zira's people. Now, both of them were going home to a new life. But neither of them knew what would come next. Zir sat beside him, silent and thoughtful. Your people will want to see us together, she said. They will have questions. Are you ready? Jake smiled, though he was a little nervous. Maybe not, but I'll do my best. When they arrived at Earth's main station, they were greeted by a huge crowd. Banners welcomed Zira, and people cheered for Jake. Reporters called out their names, taking pictures and asking questions. Jake felt a bit shy, but Zira walked with her head high, holding his hand. For a moment, Jake forgot his worries. He was happy to see Zira smiling and comfortable in a place that was so new for her. Soon, a big meeting was held with Earth leaders and diplomats. Captain Melissa and General Clark welcomed Jake back warmly. Zira was introduced to leaders from different countries. Everyone wanted to know about the Zanari, their culture, and their plans for peace. Jake helped translate when words got hard. He watched Zira answer questions, sometimes serious, sometimes smiling. People were surprised by her honesty and strength. As the talks continued, some people were still worried. There were leaders and groups on Earth who did not like the idea of trusting aliens, even after everything Jake and Zira had done. Small protests happened outside the station, with people holding signs saying, "Humans first," and "No alien unions." Jake felt sad seeing this, but Zira just squeezed his hand. "Change is slow," she said, "but every step matters." The next day, Jake and Zira were invited to a special event at the United Council. It was held in a giant hall with people from many worlds. Everyone came to watch the first formal agreement between humans and the Zanari. Jake stood by Zira's side as Captain Melissa spoke about trust, hope, and a future together. Zira made a short speech too. "I came to your world as a fighter," she said. "Now I stay as a friend." After the event, Jake and Zira walked through the city. Jake showed Zira a park filled with flowers and tall trees. Children played nearby, waving at Zira when they recognized her. She smiled and waved back. They sat on a bench, tired but happy. "Do you think things will really change?" Jake asked. Zira looked around at the people. "Yes, it starts with small things. You and I are just one story, but it can lead to many more." That night, there was a party to celebrate the new friendship. Food from both Earth and the Zanari homeworld was served. People danced and told stories. Jake felt light, laughing with friends old and new. Zira even tried a human dance, making everyone clap and cheer. For a while, it felt like all the troubles were gone, but not everyone was happy. In the shadows outside the party, a group of people planned something dangerous. They did not want humans and Zanari to be friends. They wanted to stop the Union, no matter what. One of them carried a small device, hidden in a bag. The next day, as Jake and Zira walked through the crowded city, Zira noticed someone following them. Her training made her alert. "Jake, we are being watched," she whispered. Jake looked around and saw a person moving quickly toward them. Zira pushed Jake aside as the person pulled out the device. There was a bright flash and a loud sound. People screamed and ran. Zira jumped in front of Jake, using her training to stop the attacker. Jake helped her, grabbing the person's arm. Together, they managed to take away the device and hold the person until the security guards arrived. The attacker was arrested, but news of the attempt spread fast. People were shocked that someone had tried to hurt Jake and Zira. Some felt angry and scared, but others felt brave, saying, "If Jake and Zira can work together, so can we." Captain Melissa and General Clark thanked Jake and Zira for their bravery. "You two saved many lives today," Captain Melissa said. "This will not stop our plans for peace." Zira sat with Jake that evening, both of them tired from the day. "I am sorry," she said. "Your world is not safe for us." Jake shook his head. "No, Zira, you protected me. You protected everyone. Maybe there will always be people who are afraid, but most want peace." Later, Jake's family called him on video. His mother was in tears, so proud of her son. His younger sister asked, "Is Zira really going to be my sister now?" Jake laughed, and Zira smiled, promising to teach her how to use a Zanari training. Sword one day, a few days later, there was another meeting with the United Council. This time, Jake and Zira stood together, holding hands. The leaders from Earth and the Zanari homeworld signed the first agreement for trade, study, and protection. It was a small start, but a big change got at night. After all the noise and speeches, Jake and Zira found a quiet place to talk. "I used to think I would be alone forever," Zira said softly. "Now I have you." Jake took her hand, feeling all the fears and doubts fade away. "I'm glad you said yes, even if you took my joke too seriously." Zira laughed quietly. Sometimes the best things begin as a joke. As the stars shined above them, they both felt hope. They had faced many trials and dangers, but now they were ready for whatever came next. Together, they would help their worlds become friends. Together, they would build a future where no one would have to be afraid of loving someone different. Next day, news channels around the world showed the story of Jake and Zira. People sent messages of support, and even those who were unsure before started to believe that peace was possible. With every step, Jake and Zira proved that two people from different worlds could stand side by side, not as enemies, but as partners, and maybe, soon, as family. Jake woke up early on the morning of the council's decision. He could not sleep well during the night. He kept thinking about everything that had happened since he joked about marrying Zira. Now he stood on a strange planet, waiting for a group of alien leaders to decide his future. He looked at the sky through the small window, trying to calm his mind. Zira came into the room, wearing her formal armor and a soft blue sash that showed her family's honor. She looked at Jake with gentle eyes. "It is time," she said quietly. They walked together to the Great Hall. Ellie joined them, always ready to help with language and customs. As they passed through the busy city, some Zanari people watched them closely, whispering to each other. Others smiled and waved. Jake saw that not everyone was against him. Maybe some wanted peace as much as he did. The Great Hall was full. Council members sat in a half circle at the front, looking serious. Behind them stood many Zanari warriors and elders, all waiting for the decision. Zira's family sat near the front. Jake could see her brother giving him a thumbs up, trying to make him feel brave. Elder Narin spoke first. "Today we choose the future. Zira, you are our best fighter. You have brought a human to our world and shown us his strength and heart. Jake, you have faced our trials and showed respect." The elder looked around the hall. "Some of us still have doubts, but many of us believe new paths must be taken." Another council member, Elder Jani, spoke. "If we accept this union, it means trust between our worlds. If we do not, we risk more fear and distance." Jani looked at Jake. "Are you ready to become one of us?" Jake took a deep breath. He thought about all the lessons Zira had taught him. He stepped forward and bowed low. "I'm ready. One wish. For peace and friendship, not only for myself and Zira, but for everyone." The council whispered among themselves for a long time. The hall was silent, except for the soft voices of the elders. Finally, Elder Narin stood. "We will allow the union. Jake, you are welcome to join our people. But you must take one final challenge one of the old ways. You will face the test of unity together with Zira." Zira nodded, her face calm. "We accept." After the announcement, Jake and Zira were taken to a special training ground outside the city. There, the test of unity was explained. It was a trial that two people must finish together. It was meant to show that they could trust and support each other even in the hardest times. The first part of the trial was a maze, built from high stone walls. Jake and Zira were told to find their way out, but they could not speak. Inside the maze, the air was cool, and the walls were covered in strange glowing plants. Jake started to walk, looking at Zira for clues. She moved with confidence, reading. The signs on the walls. Whenever Jake looked lost, Zira pointed quietly. When Zira missed a path, Jake tapped her shoulder and showed her the right way. Together, they found the exit. The second part of the test was a balanced bridge across a wide river. The bridge was narrow, and the water below was fast and deep. Jake's hand shook as he stepped onto the bridge. Zira went first, then turned to help Jake. She reached out, holding his hand tightly. "Trust me," she mouthed. Jake nodded and followed her across, step by step, until they were safe on the other side. The last part of the challenge was the hardest. They had to fight together against 3 Zanari warriors in a friendly battle. The warriors came at them from all sides. Zira blocked one with her staff, while Jake dodged another. They moved as a team, protecting each other and never giving up. Even when Jake fell, Zira pulled him up. When Zira was cornered, Jake jumped in front to help. After a long fight, the judges called the end. Elder Narn, and the council arrived to watch the end of the test. "You have passed," Narn said. With a small smile, "Your bond is strong. You respect each other's strengths and help each other's weaknesses. This is what unity means." As the crowd cheered, Zira turned to Jake. Her eyes shone with pride. "You did well, human." Jake grinned. "So did you, warrior." The next day, Jake and Zira were invited to a big feast in the city. People from all over the Zanari lands came to see the couple. There was music, dancing, and many kinds of food. Zira wore a traditional dress made from silver threads. Jake wore a Zanori sash and a suit that felt strange but comfortable. During the feast, people told stories about old wars and new hopes. Elders welcomed Jake, offering him small gifts. Children came to ask him questions. "Do you miss your home?" One little girl asked. Jake nodded. "Yes, I do. But I am happy to be here with new friends." Zira's mother stood and raised her glass. "Today we welcome Jake as one of our own. May this union bring peace to both our worlds." Everyone cheered. Jake looked at Zira and felt a warm glow in his heart. Maybe he was truly part of something big. Later that night, Jake and Zira walked outside to a quiet garden. The stars above the Zanari world looked almost the same as the ones Jake used to see from Earth. "Do you think your people will accept me now?" Jake asked softly. Zira nodded. "You have shown them your heart. That matters more than anything." Jake smiled. "Maybe my silly joke was not so silly after all." Zira laughed. "Maybe it was fate." As they stood together in the garden, Zira reached for Jake's hand. "There will be more challenges ahead. Not everyone wants peace, but we are stronger together." Jake squeezed her hand. "I'm not afraid, as long as you're with me." In that quiet moment, they both knew their story was just beginning. They would face more trouble and more tests, but they would do it together as a team, as friends, and maybe as something more. The next morning, messages came from Earth. News of the Union had reached the humans, and many were excited. The leaders wanted Jake and Zira to return for a celebration. But before leaving, they had one last meeting with the Zanari Council. Elder Narin spoke kindly this time. "You have taught us that sometimes it is brave to trust. May your example guide others." With those words, Jake and Zira prepared to leave for Earth, their hearts full of hope for the future.